the legendary Egyptian curse of the pharaohs, a curse that promises consequences to those who disturb an ancient mummy such as King Tutankhamun. Who was King Tut? And can the curse of the pharaohs really cause harm to those who don't heed its warnings? What secrets does his tomb hold? King Tutankhamun, whose name meant the living image of Aten, ruled Egypt for about 10 years before dying at just 18 years of age. Upon opening his tomb, a surprising discovery was made. A curse that is often quoted to say, "Death will come on swift wings to anyone who disturbs the peace of the king." Join us in this remarkable journey into the story of the curse of King Tut's tomb and pharaohs. Be sure to watch until the end for a bonus: the secrets and truth behind King Tut's gold dagger. It was November 4th, 1922, when a single step carved into stone changed the course of history. After years of relentless digging, British archaeologist Howard Carter had finally found what he had been searching for: the tomb of an obscure pharaoh lost to time. His name, Tutankhamun. Barely a man when he died, this boy king would become one of the most famous figures in all of archaeology. But his fame would not come from his short reign or political deeds. It would come from gold, mystery, and death. Before that momentous day, many experts believed the Valley of the Kings had given up all its secrets. Dozens of tombs had already been excavated. Many thought the valley had no more to offer. But Carter wasn't convinced. He believed one royal tomb had yet to be uncovered, that of Tutankhamun, a little-known pharaoh from Egypt's 18th dynasty. King Tut's name barely appeared in historical records. He wasn't featured in any grand temples or monuments. He wasn't even mentioned in many king lists. For decades, he was just a footnote. But Carter, relying on fragments, inscriptions, and a hunch, was determined to find him. For 5 years, he combed the Valley of the Kings with the backing of British aristocrat Lord Carnarvon. The work was grueling. The heat is unforgiving. The expenses are high. And by 1922, Lord Carnarvon had nearly given up, warning Carter that the next season would be the last. That's when they found it. Beneath a worker's hut near the tomb of Ramses VI, Carter's team uncovered a step, the top of a stairway leading downward into darkness. The staircase led to a sealed doorway stamped with royal cartouches. Behind it was another door, and then another, and finally, the antechamber. Inside was chaos, but glorious chaos. Ornate chariots, gilded couches shaped like animals, food baskets, and golden statues filled the rooms. But the real prize lay further in, through a sealed wall leading to the burial chamber. When Carter peered inside with a candle, he was asked, "Can you see anything?" His reply was simple: "Yes, wonderful things." The burial chamber revealed a set of nested shrines and coffins, each fitting snugly within the next, like Russian dolls. At the center was a solid gold coffin, weighing over 240 pounds. Inside, the mummified remains of a teenager lay, adorned with a golden mask that would become an iconic image of ancient Egypt. Tutankhamun, dead at just 19, was finally found. Just months after King Tut's tomb was opened, Lord Carnarvon, the man who had made the entire expedition possible, died unexpectedly. He had cut a mosquito bite while shaving, and the wound became infected. Sepsis followed. He died in Cairo. On the night he died, lights reportedly went out across the city. Back at Carnarvon's estate in England, his dog is said to have let out a mournful howl and dropped dead at the same moment. These eerie coincidences were all the public needed. Soon, the curse of the pharaoh was headline news. Newspapers fanned the flames. Reporters claimed an inscription near the tomb read, "Death shall come on swift wings to him who disturbs the king's peace." No such inscription has ever been documented, but the story stuck. Over the next decade, more deaths followed. George J. Gould, a wealthy visitor to the tomb, died of a fever after his visit. A sea mace, a close associate of Carter, died from suspected arsenic poisoning. Richard Bethel, Carter's secretary, was found smothered to death in his bed. Bethel's father then threw himself from a building, reportedly plagued by strange nightmares about the tomb. Even Carter's pet canary became part of the story. Some say it was killed by a cobra, a royal symbol of Egypt, found in his cage shortly after the tomb's discovery. But here's the twist. Howard Carter lived another 17 years after the discovery. He died peacefully in 1939 at the age of 64. Many other members of the excavation team also lived long, healthy lives. Of the dozens of people who entered King Tut's tomb, only a few died prematurely. So, was the curse of the pharaoh real? Or just media hysteria? There are some scientific theories. Some believe mold or fungi sealed in the tomb for 3,000 years could have released deadly spores when disturbed. Aspergillus, a toxic mold, is one candidate. Others have suggested bacteria or even radioactive elements embedded in ancient walls. These might have triggered illnesses among those with weakened immune systems. Then there's the psychological angle. The nocebo effect, the dark cousin of the placebo effect, suggests that if you believe something will harm you, your body might react as though it has. Some people truly thought they were cursed, and that belief may have made them sick. Beyond the curse, King Tut's tomb itself holds many secrets. For one, its size is unusually small for a pharaoh. Most kings had massive tombs carved deep into the cliffs of the valley. Tutankhamun's tomb is cramped, with only 4 main rooms. This has led many historians to believe he died suddenly, perhaps of injury or illness, and there wasn't time to construct a proper royal tomb. Some believe he was buried in a tomb originally meant for someone else, possibly a queen. Then there's the matter of King Tut's famous golden mask. Modern researchers using advanced imaging have suggested the mask may have been initially made for a woman. The faceplate appears to have been reworked, and the inlay that names Tutankhamun may have replaced an earlier name, possibly that of Queen Neferneferuaten. Carter's team also made some questionable decisions. While they documented the tomb extensively, some artifacts were quietly removed and kept from Egyptian authorities. For decades, rumors swirled about missing items, small statues, jewelry, even samples of linen. Some were returned in later years. Others remain in private collections, their origins buried in silence. X-rays and CT scans of Tutankhamun's mummy have revealed more secrets. He suffered from a broken leg, multiple malarial infections, and a club foot. DNA tests show he was the product of incest. His parents were likely siblings, which may explain some of his health problems. Some scholars have even proposed King Tutankhamun was murdered. A severe skull fracture led to early theories of foul play, but modern analysis suggests the injury may have occurred after death. Still, questions remain. Why did he die so young? Was it illness, an accident, or something more sinister? Even today, nearly a century after his tomb was opened, Tutankhamun continues to fascinate the world. In 2015, radar scans of the tomb suggested hidden chambers might be behind the walls, perhaps even the burial of Queen Nefertiti. That theory has yet to be confirmed, but it shows that even now, King Tut's tomb still holds a mystery. What began as a forgotten name in history became the most famous archaeological find of all time. Gold, death, hidden secrets, and a boy king who rose from the sands of time to captivate the modern world. Was there truly a curse? Probably not. But something about the story, the timing, the deaths, the allure of the unknown, made people believe. And maybe that belief, more than any inscription or ancient spell, gave the curse its power. Stay with us as we explore the secret of King Tut's golden dagger. Among all the treasures found within the tomb, the gold coffins, the ceremonial chariots, the bejeweled necklaces, one artifact stood out not just for its beauty but for its origin. A dagger, not from this earth. When Howard Carter cataloged the contents of the tomb, he found 2 daggers placed directly on the linen-wrapped body of the boy king. One was expected, a blade made of solid gold, fit for of divine descent. But the second was far more mysterious. This dagger had an iron blade, a gold hilt, and a finely crafted gold sheath. And yet, there was something strange about it. Why would a pharaoh of the Bronze Age, a time when metalworkers had yet to master the high temperatures needed to smelt iron ore, be buried with an iron weapon? For years, the presence of iron in Tutankhamun's tomb puzzled historians and archaeologists. Working with iron in that era was almost unheard of. Bronze, made from copper and tin, was the metal of choice. Iron tools were rare, almost mythical. And then came the breakthrough. In 2016, scientists from the Polytechnic University of Milan used X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy, a non-invasive technique, to analyze the blade. What they discovered was extraordinary. The iron contained high levels of nickel and cobalt, a chemical signature that closely matched iron meteorites. That's right. King Tut's dagger was not made from mined ore, it was forged from a meteorite. In other words, the young pharaoh was buried with a weapon from the stars, a literal space blade. It turns out that all iron used during the Bronze Age was meteoritic in origin. Ancient civilizations, without the technology to extract iron from the earth, would occasionally stumble upon pieces of metal from the sky, gifts from the heavens, they believed. These iron-rich meteorites were often worshipped, seen as divine material, and used sparingly in tools or jewelry. But to shape an entire dagger? That was a feat reserved for royalty. The dagger is about 35 centimeters long, with the blade itself measuring nearly 22 centimeters. Its craftsmanship is astonishing. It was not just functional, it was symbolic. A blade made from the heavens, buried with a boy who was believed to be descended from the gods. What better tool to carry into the afterlife? In 2022, a team of Japanese researchers took the investigation further. Using advanced X-ray mapping and chemical analysis, they confirmed the presence of elements like nickel, cobalt, sulfur, and even chlorine and calcium on the blade's surface. More significantly, they discovered a cross-hatched pattern on the iron, a structure known as the Widmanstätten pattern. This texture only forms in iron meteorites as they slowly cool in space over millions of years. It's the fingerprint of an extraterrestrial object. The presence of the Widmanstätten pattern also provided a clue to how the dagger was made. The pattern remains intact only when iron is worked at relatively low temperatures, likely under 950 degrees Celsius. This suggests that ancient Egyptian metalworkers forged the blade gently, preserving its cosmic structure without fully understanding the alien material they were working with. Yet the result was stunning. But the story doesn't end there. Researchers looking into the blade's provenance discovered something even more intriguing. A diplomatic letter from the ancient kingdom of Mitanni, located in modern-day northern Syria and southeastern Turkey. It referenced a royal wedding gift sent to Pharaoh Amenhotep III, Tutankhamun's grandfather. Among the items, an iron dagger in a gold sheath. Given the extreme rarity of meteoritic iron during the Bronze Age, there's a strong possibility that the dagger buried with King Tut was not made for him, but rather inherited. A cosmic heirloom passed down from one generation of royalty to the next. From grandfather to grandson, from life into death. And this wasn't an isolated case. In ancient Japan, blades forged from meteorites were also prized by emperors. The Shirahagi meteorite, found in 1890, was used to forge swords for Japanese nobility, some of which reside in imperial collections today. Apparently, across cultures and continents, there has long been something special about weapons made from the stars. What makes Tutankhamun's dagger so compelling isn't just the science, though that's fascinating. It's what the dagger represents. A young king, barely a teenager, buried with unimaginable wealth. Gold, jewels, and a blade made from the cosmos. A blade that suggests a royal family's connection not just to divine authority, but to the heavens themselves. It also speaks to how advanced and interconnected ancient civilizations were. Egyptians didn't just worship the stars. They harvested material from them, traded it across borders, and shaped it into symbols of power. Thousands of years ago, they looked to the skies and saw meaning, mystery, and perhaps destiny. Today, King Tut's dagger reminds us of something timeless, that even in death, humanity has always reached beyond its world, seeking a connection to the stars. And maybe that's where the real magic lies. Sometimes, history's most powerful forces aren't curses or gods, but the stories we pass down and choose to believe. If you enjoyed exploring the secrets of King Tut's tomb, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more videos exploring the world's most mysterious moments. From ancient curses to buried cities, history always has another secret waiting to be uncovered.